I'd like to call this meeting of the Town of Dalton Selectboard order, please. Please notice this meeting will be recorded by Zoom for the purpose of taking minutes in DC TV. All those right for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the minutes of May 19th, 2025 be approved as presented.
Skip the roll call.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry, I did. Brittany.
Yes, and the roll call, Attorney Pagula.
Here.
We have Leoniska.
Here.
Vice Chair John Boyle.
Here.
Chair Robert Bishop.
Here.
Town Manager Terry Wood.
I'm here.
Yeah?
No, good catch.
You guys remember the motion?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Like the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The public address board. This is the time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or any issue or matter of the town. If you intend to comment on an item listed on the meeting agenda, please do so at this time, as we will not be taking comments from the audience when the item comes up for the board discussion. The public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Each individual will be given up to 3 minutes. If you intend on addressing the board, we ask you to do the following. Please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. Please step up to the podium and speak into the microphone. Please identify yourself by name, address, company, or institution you represent. Please address your comments to the board chair. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer the questions on procedural matters. Is there anyone that'd like to speak before on any of the items? Richard?
Hi, Richard Hall, 164 Greenridge Drive. First of all, thank you for moving me to the Clean Action Committee. Appreciate it. The other quick thing I wanted to bring to the attention was at the special meeting, the town special meeting, I had my hand raised from when we first had this discussion on the financing of clean air proposal, but I was never called, and it was moved to a vote by someone, and then the moderator said there was no discussion, moved it to a vote. I'm happy it went the way it did, but it does need to be looked at for the future, because having one person in the meeting and the town moderator moving discussion without some voices being heard. As you know, I've stood before you, stood before many committees on this subject, and yeah, I wasn't heard that night. I did actually move a lot of things around to be there. But my point, moving forward, it does need to be looked at, because I don't think it's reasonable to have discussion cut off on one person saying we want to move the vote, and moderator saying...
I'll see if I can get an answer from you from the moderator.
Yeah, but you understand, hopefully you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Richard, just clarify exactly what happened. It was the last motion, our last article on the warrant that night?
Yes.
Okay, so they got to it, and it was read, and the moderator opened it for discussion, and somebody called for a vote in the audience?
Yes, exactly. I had my hand up the whole time.
Yeah, he should have looked around a little bit more. I just wanted to be clear what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for bringing that to attention, Archie.
Yeah, and as I said, it's not necessarily for that, but it's for next other meetings, because it seems to be a concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just mention, because Richard had just talked to me about this briefly, I've attended Massachusetts Teacher Association meetings for 3 days with some 700 to 800 people, all vying for a spot to be heard. And they use cards. Yellow cards are first for questions, a red for pro, a negative for con, a green for pro. So you have a balance. So people can ask a question, it's answered, and then you go red, green, in terms of people being heard and spoken and be equitable. That's a solution that large audiences use, to my knowledge.
I'll talk to Tony,
Yes.
see what we can.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. Appointments.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Natasha Benedict of 335 North Street be appointed to the Conservation Commission effective immediately through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is Natasha here, by any chance?
I don't think she's here. She told her that she should be here, but she isn't. No.
John, can you tell her if she wants to go, I do believe there's a meeting tomorrow night.
Yep.
If she wants to vote, she has to get sworn in.
Yeah. I mentioned that to her in advance, but I will do it again tomorrow about,
Okay.
she works at that bank, because you can drive down there and show you the love meter.
Okay.
And where's the meeting?
Usually the meeting's here. So
Here, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
In the room or in
I-
somewhere in there, she'll find it.
Okay, next. Sign the addendums to Dalton Patrol Officers Union Contracts. Terry, would you explain this, please?
Well, yes, I had the head of the patrol officers union come to me, and he explained that there was a couple of areas in the contract that were either incorrect slightly or was actually missing. The first one is, it was slightly incorrect, and they just wanted to clarify essentially when officers who are newly hired and attend the training actually get to step up based on the timing of their training. So if you read the, essentially number 2 explains it there on that first one, Article 3, number 2. And it is pretty self-evident. Essentially, it depends on whether the new officer is attending the training school prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, or if it overlaps. In other words, they don't complete it till the new year is beginning.
Okay.
Or, and then of course, there's the other case where it begins and ends in the new fiscal year. And it basically just tries to clarify when they can move up the steps. And so, you know, they show number 2 as it was, and then the following changes to clarify the meaning of that particular number 2 of Article 3. And so it just essentially says that their eligibility to step up is, you know, not as fast if they're, you know, unfortunately crossing into a new fiscal year. Because it would be as if they just ended it near the end of June. It would be a different circumstance than if it ended in the middle of July. So if you take a look at that, I found it totally reasonable and actually probably saves the town a little bit because they don't move up, you know, as quickly if they're within a
Okay. That sounds good.
change of the
Well,
fiscal year.
I got one reflection on this. The fact is that they're asking for themselves to be paid every week.
No, that's on the next one, I think. I think
Okay.
that's the next one that we're going to talk about. There are 2 addendums.
Okay.
This one here is strictly addressing something that
Okay,
was.
in that case, I will move that we
clarifying.
accept and adopt addendum 1.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, then there's the second one.
Thank
Now,
you.
the second one talks about the, essentially the stipends that they're receiving for various things that they do. And these, oddly enough, this was not addressed, the payment schedule was not addressed in the original contract, but the intent would, apparently, I had to take the word of the officer who was in the negotiations with Tom. Tom said, yeah, we will agree to pay it weekly, partly because it would help save money if an officer bailed out, you know, just after receiving semi-annual payments of the $300 per, and by the way, they could have 300, 600, 900, maybe even more in these stipends. And if they were getting them in a lump sum and then they departed, you know, you couldn't really claw the money back. So this way they're paid pro rata on a weekly basis. And, you know, I've got to admit that, of course, it's probably a little more clerical work involved in that.
That's
But
exactly what I was gonna say.
That's what they agreed to.
I don't know, Tom never said anything about that, but the point that the town accountant and the town treasurer, who work hand in hand, prepare the town payroll bi-weekly. Now, they go prepare.
No,
and
we do it
administer-
every week, though.
Huh?
It's weekly.
Weekly.
Is it weekly?
Yeah.
That was every 2 weeks.
I wish it was every 2 weeks. It ought to be every 2 weeks.
My mistake. I thought it was
But
every 2
I
weeks.
understand that there's a lot of people that would not be happy with it every other week. I think it'd be frankly an improvement for the accountant and particularly the treasurer if it was bi-weekly, but it's weekly.
Really?
Pay is weekly.
Sorry.
You get
I apologize.
a check or a wire into your account every week. Yeah, I was surprised. I was paid bi-weekly at the state.
Yeah, I said they
I
were.
was happy. I was
Right?
happy.
I mean, it's not a problem, because it's.
Yeah.
I think I was
Becky, do you
paid
prepare
monthly.
payroll?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Becky prepares payroll.
Every week.
Police department, yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
roll the police payroll every week and it goes upstairs to the treasurer.
I mean, this is reasonable, you just have to develop the pro rata rate, times the number of hours.
Yeah.
Or it's just rate, it's not even by hour, it's just a stipend, so.
Yeah,
Mr.
it's a
Chairman?
stipend. Again, they're
It should be pretty
$300.
easy.
Yep.
They're $300 each.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's 300, 600, 900, whatever.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adapt addendum 2 to the police officer's contract.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made, second, is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we got the side.
Yes, thanks.
And this one.
Break down for a month. Okay. All right. Good, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, number 8, discussion regarding issuing town emails to member of the planning board and finance committee. In lieu of all these crazy things going on and everything, it would make more sense if everybody that's an elected official had their own email. And I talked to Becky about it and stuff, it'd be easy to do. And that way, everybody don't have to use their own personal email that's on the committees. So, Becky, do you want to speak to that, or?
So, as the record access officer for the town of Dalton, over the last 6 months to a year, we have gotten several requests for emails from different committee members. Because people are using their personal emails, I am having a hard time retrieving those records. When you use your personal email for town business, it is a public record. I've spoken to Tim Zeston about this, and he agrees. I've spoken with the supervisor of public records office. They agree. If you use your private email for business for the town of Dalton, it is considered public emails, and those have to be released upon request. I'm in the middle of 2 appeals right now because I cannot get emails released to me from different committee members, which is why I went to Tim Zesson and Mr. Bishop to try and figure out something better so the town doesn't get sanctioned, which we're most likely going to be, because I can't get the records released to me.
So we have to use our emails that we have to communicate at all times?
Yeah, it's suggested that if you're on a board, we should be using our town email.
Or MA.gov.
Okay, okay,
Emails.
I understand, all right.
Yeah. And we, honestly, I'm probably one of, we do it easier because as long as you copy with your personal email on it, you got it tagged to your thing,
Okay.
government email. I think it's a really good thing. I think it takes pressure off anybody that's on the boards, that if it's elected,
Yep.
they're subject to this, so.
And I have spoken to Renatus, our IT company. It's $4 per email. Finance has 9 members. Mr. Josine already has one, so we'd only be paying for 8 additional for him. And the Board of Appeals has 5. So we'd only be paying for 13 emails. of
Or Board of Appeals,
Planning board, excuse me, thank you,
Planning
planning board. Yes, I apologize.
they have 5, right?
They have 5.
Five?
According to
Yes, 5.
Yep.
I forget what I was gonna
The
say.
Board of Appeals should also have their own as well.
Are they elected?
Yes,
No, they are
Board
not
of Appeals
elected,
is
they are
elected.
appointed. No, they're not.
they're elected. The zoning board
So-
of appeals?
Yeah. They're
It
appointed.
comes down to whatever the select board wants to do,
No.
but
Yeah.
that's
An
what it
elected
costs us. It's $4 per email per month. So it's about $48 a year per email in order to have the town email account. So if we do get a records request, all I have to do is contact Renata saying, I have a record request from January 1st to March 1st with this subject for this board. And they can pull all the records, then I can review them, redact whatever I have to redact, and I can send out the request, and I don't have to bother all the committee members.
I think it's a fantastic idea, to be honest with you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm inclined to agree with Dan. The zoning board of appeals is such an important board that they should be included in this, but they are not elected officials. But we're setting the parameters here, and we can include them if we want.
And we got a town report. Just gonna look at it.
You don't have to look at it, just take my word for
So
it.
who are we saying now in addition to?
Board of appeals.
How many are on that?
3,
3.
plus an alternate.
Would any regulatory board be subject to this? Should all regulatory boards?
No, usually the record requests come from either finance, select board,
Planning
or
board.
planning board.
Okay.
Well, any board that's subject to the open meeting law is subject to the public records request. And so, regardless of what email you're using, that record is a public record.
Well, I would like to
So
start.
whether you provide it when it's requested, if it's your private email, that's a whole other conversation. I don't know that we should have MA.gov emails for all of the volunteer committees necessarily, but certainly all the elected boards.
Yeah.
Because of the expense involved, Bob and I discussed it with the interim town manager, we agreed to limit it to elected officials, and that's why this was brought forward.
Yeah.
Well,
And maybe next year we should think about expanding it.
let's start with.
Okay, let's start with just elected officials.
I would suggest starting with that and see how it goes. I think it would be helpful for these people on there. That way, I mean,
Mr. Collins, just like, the Board of Appeals is not elected.
huh?
Board of Appeals is not elected.
Hey, Bob, thanks for the support back there.
AI idea.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so it's just planning board and finance board.
Now, there's one other elected official. Well, there are actually 2. the moderator, the library trustees, and the cemetery trustees are elected, so.
Oh, wow.
But we're sticking with the
Yeah.
big guys for
Yeah,
now.
all right.
I'm in agreement with that. It's
I
okay.
think, Becky, have you ever heard any requests from library or cemetery?
Not at this time. The
You know,
planning
from the
board,
cemetery.
the select board, and the finance committee have been the biggest ones over the last year.
Well, okay. Hopefully no one's gonna bring you in from the cemetery. Never know.
Okay, so everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Motion,
Do we
please.
get a motion to approve the request to extend the governmental email address system to the elected officials of the planning board?
Finance.
That's it.
Finance.
Finance committee and,
No, that's fine for now.
Yeah, okay, Joseph.
that's it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, town manager search.
Well,
Skip mine.
Mr.
How
Chairman,
about the
skip nine.
transfer?
Oh, I did, what I, oh, I'm sorry, I want to go home, I guess. Interdepartmental transfer.
Let me just read this quick here. Present balance in account amount requested is for the Selectboard to the legal counsel expense. Mr. Chairman, I move that $20,300 be transferred from the health insurance expense to legal counsel expense.
Second. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would like to say something to this. We've had a lot of requests for lawyers, and I'm asking anybody that requests to talk to the lawyers, our town reps, go through Terry or myself, so we kind of have like a traffic control over
Yeah.
this, because the costs are getting way out of hand.
Yeah, I would just note that, so 55,000 was appropriated in FY '25, which, by the way, was 5,000 reduction, which made sense in view of the year-to-date actuals for the prior 3 years. They decided to go to 55, but it came in at 86,243 was the year-end total, so more than 30,000 over the appropriated level. And from my point of view, it appears as though the numbers really picked up in the latter part of the year, as you can see, May and June in particular, but even February was pretty high considering, we were at 47,000 expended for the first 7 months. And my take on it is, truthfully, it was 2 items that drove the cost, and that is the Berkshire Concrete Corporation dust issues and the departure of the prior executive assistant. Drove the cost of legal defense way up.
So these costs are for last fiscal year.
Yes, ending June 30th. We have not got the bill starting this year yet. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
You got a second transfer? Did you say for the, did you make the motion for 11,000 already?
That's
No.
it, that was just in there.
No, that had already previously been
That's
transferred.
the previous transfer.
We thought that was gonna do it. Boy, were we off base. We had bills that showed up that we didn't realize were, they'd been sent to the wrong email address and weren't received. And then the final bill was in excess of our estimate. And so together, it was over 20,000 to make it for.
And it continues into this fiscal year. I understand that the chairman had to attend a legal function on Friday regarding that matter.
Again, anything since July 1 is in the new
Yeah.
year. This is just covering up and which you can do through the middle of, essentially the middle of July. It's legal to finish up the year through July 15th, and so this is a totally legal transfer that the DOR allows you a couple of weeks to really get it buttoned up. This is all last year, it's all done.
It's important to remember that any phone call or email will be billed anytime you reach out.
We
You
actually
don't get
had,
freebie.
And the other thing I'm going to be asking the KP is a better itemization of their bills, because they tend to do these groups, and I don't even understand the groupings. They don't seem to be anything similar. But what they do is they have 3, 4, 5, say a dozen different matters individually, and then they give a total hours and a total cost for that grouping. Then they go and do another group. Maybe it's by the week, I'm not really sure what it is. But what I'd like is for them to put down the number of hours for each individual, line item of someone coming forward to connect with the legal department.
Responded to email from town manager on 15.
Yeah,
for example.
they have descriptions.
30 minutes,
Sometimes, yeah, half an hour. Usually they'd say half an hour, 3/4 hour, an hour and a half, whatever. But the main thing is that they also need, some of them you can tell exactly who it was that contacted them, but sometimes it may not be clear. And, I suppose in some cases, it's just following up on a matter that they dealt with earlier in the week or something like that, who knows. But I'm just gonna ask them if they'd be so kind to do that.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And we pay them enough money.
yeah, we sure do. Just a quick comment. I'm amazed that we had $20,000 at the end of the fiscal year in the health insurance expense.
Yeah, I guess, Sandy unfortunately is not here.
Yeah.
She could explain it, but, apparently for some reason, that was over budgeted for the year, and I know they made a good attempt at it, and this year, it's going up a lot. And so, I mean,
Yeah,
that's a good point you make on it.
It was very helpful.
Good point. But it was there, basically Dawn and Sandy picked that account as being the best one to move money out of, because there was plenty left.
Yep.
They could take 20 out of there and still return quite a bit to fund balance. So I'm in favor of that, but you're right. I guess we gotta ask what happened over there.
Hey. By the time we cut a break.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, let's move on. Okay, town manager search. Are we online with our friends?
Buzz, can you hear us?
Yes, indeed, I am here.
All right, well,
There you go. Turn around.
shut the top.
Can you see me and hear me okay?
There you go.
Yes, there you go. You're larger than life here.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, Bob couldn't be with us tonight. He had another engagement. So I'm here to represent MRI and bring you folks up to date on the information we have. So, Mr. Chairman, how would you like to proceed?
You go right with it with the salary range first.
All right, so you asked us to look at some salary ranges in Berkshire County, in your area, in your competitive group, in your comparables, we call it, your comparables. And so I presented, we did a study, talked to folks, surveyed some communities that are, about your size, between, say, 3,000 and under 10,000. And we presented those, 8 or 9 communities to show you what the range is, posted salary for those positions. So, and I have to tell you, you know the situation in Addams. Addams is linked, with us in terms of posting shortly, and Great Barrington's going up again for I think it's the 3rd time. community, Hadley, is kind of on hold. They'd advertised, but they stopped the proceedings for whatever reasons, and so those are three communities that we know of immediately that are small, about your size, that you folks are going to be competing with. So we tried to get communities that had seated town administrators, town managers, and then just show you what the competition is out there today. So happy to answer any questions about that before I get into our recommendation.
Any questions?
No?
I have just one quick one. Buzz, is there any difference between a manager and an administrator in terms of salary? Because sometimes I believe manager it's got more underneath the umbrella than an administrator. Can you speak to that?
Yes. You really have to read the sort of the, I'll call it the charter, the act, the special act, whatever empowers the community to have a town manager or a town administrator. Some communities, not yours of course, they simply have a job description or a town policy that's in the general bylaws that says, okay, this is the range of responsibilities of, usually it's the town administrator. So oftentimes it's thought that town administrators' authorities are not as strong as a town manager. However, you really need to look and see if, the chief operating officer, the chief financial officer, what appointing authority they have or maybe they don't have, what their role is in budget or in collective bargaining, contracts, procurement, those sorts of things. HR, your manager, is chief operating officer of the community, HR director, chief procurement officer. That's the sizable responsibility. In some towns, a little larger, they'll have an HR director, a personnel director to take that role on. Or even larger communities would have a purchasing director or coordinator to fulfill that function. But typically in small towns, the managers wear a lot of hats. And in your case, that is true.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I answered your question.
I think that sheds a little light on what I was trying to get at.
Isn't there one more category in management called town secretary?
Yes, sir. In the old days, perhaps, actually the pre-2.5 days, there was a title called executive secretary. And it was really a misnomer. The town of Brookline, they had that title, executive secretary, up until about 1990. And if you looked at the range of authority, I think his name was O'Leary, that Mr. O'Leary had, he was a town manager. And the Board of Selectmen in Brookline, they kept that old title, but they ceded to him a full range of town manager responsibilities. So it really depends on how the town is set up. But yes, there was an executive secretary position, and now you really don't see it. I'm not aware of any. Pretty much after Prop 2.5, many communities dropped that title and went to a more, I would say, more professional type of title and more professional type of position because of the complexity that Prop 2.5 and the early 80s brought on municipalities.
Thank you, Buzz.
your recommendation?
Well, our recommendation in your case, folks, is to look at a salary range between 125 and 155. We think that for this community would be competitive. We think it will attract some folks. Now, what you have to understand is in the process, when we talk to candidates, we'll tell them this is the range. And if some person says, "Oh, I can't work in that range," well, the range is the range. And if somebody says to us, "Well, I got to come in at the top of the range," we'll say, "No, no, it's the range." I mean, they will have to that'll be part of the negotiation on where you folks would start somebody, and it'll depend on the individual, his or her education, experience, qualifications, what they bring to the job. So I know some people will think, when we talk to select boards like you, will think, "Oh, they're all going to want the high end." Well, they may all want the high end, but we'll tell them that's the range. And if somebody has, is not that competitive in terms of education, experience, but has the background and what you're looking for, we'll tell them, you're gonna start at the front end of the range, and this is going to give you growth over your career there. So, but we think having a range, like that will attract some attention, and it'll really help all of us, in the search to let people know, let candidates know that you folks are serious about this position at this time.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Say we decide on a candidate to offer him the job, but we can't reach a salary agreement because he doesn't fit in the range, or we are not prepared to budge, and so he becomes a non-candidate. Do we go back to candidate number 2, or do we start the process all over again?
Well, you go to candidate number 2.
Okay, thanks. That's all we want to know.
And I think I told you folks, we told you folks that you're going to make, when you finally, when you agree on a candidate, you're going to make a tentative offer. And one of the two things on a tentative offer, and that's contract negotiation, successful contract negotiation. And then the other, of course, is a clean background investigation.
All right.
And as you said, we'll give you folks a lot of information about that particular person. But typically, I'll tell you, in our experience, once a person comes through us, our filter, once they go through the filter of the search committee, and by the time they get to you folks, they will know, we will know what the salary range is, and we'll be very realistic with them in terms of what they can expect.
Yep. But you might end up with a candidate that says, "Oh, I'll take my chances with the select board," or their negotiating team, which is what we had last time, 4 years ago. A negotiating team to see if I can get 175. That was my question. Okay, and say we say it doesn't work out. You go to candidate 2 then. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Yep. And now, as you may or may not know, you can't ask them what they're making now.
Okay, that's good advice.
I can, because I'm going to be talking to him or her on the phone, and I'll say, I'm looking at, I'll know the answer, because I'll look at the town budget, and I'll see what they're making, and then I'll just say, hey, can you, what are you making? Can you work in the range that's offered? That's pretty much what we say. Can you work with that range? And I had a guy tell me, no, I can't. I said, well, sorry,
benefits are another, terms and conditions of employment are another.
Right.
So I know that's hard to compare, but looking at these towns or communities, is it fair to say that benefits and terms and conditions of employment are equal or within a range of comparison?
Well, yeah, I would say that salary is number one. And benefits are following close behind. And I'll tell you, I don't want to bring this up now, but I might as well bring it up. Severance can be a big deal, because if somebody's moving from, East Overshoe to your town, or you don't have a residency requirement, but if they're moving their family, they're going to want some security that things don't work out. There's some sort of what they consider comfortable severance for them. If the whole thing blows up and all you folks get unelected and there's a whole new board in, and it's turns into be a bad situation for the new manager, they're gonna probably severance is right up there, and some charters have a section on severance, that regulates what can be offered, but I know we don't like to think about it, but that candidate's going to think about it. They're going to say, I'm moving my gang here, and they're going to start school and this and that, so they're going to worry about the what ifs. As much as you're worrying about what if, how will he or she work out, they're going to worry about how am I going to protect my family.
So salary takes precedent, the other two are secondary,
Yes,
but severance may be an issue.
Yes, sir.
I have one question, not regarding the salary per se, but the ad that you wrote for the recruitment.
Yep.
I have a concern, which in this sentence here, the ideal candidate will have a bachelor's degree and a demonstrated experience in public administration or relevant field. I'm curious, is there a reason? I mean, we're offering a pretty hefty salary here, and it's a big job. Why are we not asking for an MPA?
Well, we can. However, I think going by your act, I don't think it's. I basically went to the language in your act, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It doesn't reflect an MPA.
Okay.
But oftentimes, we could add, MPA preferred, a master's degree preferred, an MBA preferred, that sort of thing, if you like. But, you're right. An MPA is pretty much the standard kind of, I call it a union card that a manager would have.
Just a point goes to follow up on Section 5 of our Town Manager Act. It does say that a town manager who shall be professionally qualified person, especially fitted by education training. And then in the second paragraph it says, experience shall include at least 5 years of prior full-time compensated executive service in business or public or business administration. Alternately, 2 or more years professional experience and a master's degree in an appropriate discipline shall qualify. I know that's above and beyond. So are we beholden to Section 5, or you're saying we have wiggle room here to create an ad accordingly?
I want to explain the ad. As I said in my memo, we try to keep the ad to 200 words. In the document itself, we've talked to you folks about the ideal candidate. And in the ideal candidate, what we call the profile, we will cite, we will not repeat this word for word, but typically our first bullet bullet point. And the ideal candidate would have like 8, 9, 10, sometimes 12 bullet points that, you know, we're gleaning from you folks in terms of what you'd like to see, the traits, the characteristics. But typically we start off with an abbreviated version of what you have here in the second paragraph of section 5. So we will summarize that and have that in the profile.
Okay.
What we can't say in the job ad is, you know, a master's degree preferred, without getting into all the narrative about, you know, the years of experience and that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Satisfying.
Okay, we good on the salary range?
Do we get to vote on that one?
Yeah, we do.
Mr. Chairman, I move that,
I'm gonna make the motion, Joe, please.
that we establish a salary range of from 125,000 to 155,000 for the purposes of the advertisement that is being offered for our search for a new town manager.
Do a second.
Second?
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, Bob. I know I sense a sense of urgency in terms of finding a top-flight town manager. And if salary is the key, aside from benefits and terms and conditions of employment, I'd like to increase the base from 125 to 135. Terry's going to be here several more months. You know,
You want it lower?
no, was it 120? No, isn't the base now 125? No, 135. I'm sorry.
We started at 135. The bottom line, 135 to 155.
That's right.
Is that an amendment?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
second it.
Okay.
We got to vote on, wait a minute. We got to vote on the amendment.
Okay. Who seconded that? You seconded it, John, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion on the amendment.
Why are we going up to 135 exactly as our floor?
Yeah, just looking at the competition, just hearing what Buzz said in terms of salary being the predominant factor in securing someone, I'd want to have an advantage of that extra $10,000 to get a candidate in the pool. And Terry will be here for several more months. We know that there's retirements down the way. I just feel a sense of urgency, and if it helps us, I think that's a small price to pay to have a possible candidate.
My only concern is it kind of just limits our ability to, you know, go a little bit lower than that. You know, the 125 obviously is out of the question at that point, right?
Yep.
I think a good negotiator could certainly leverage their experience and their education to extract the higher range. I don't see anything stopping anyone from doing that if we give that range of 125 to 155, but I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, I just don't know if I support limiting it that much personally.
That's fine.
What about, would you feel more comfortable with 130?
I like 125 to 155. So what I'll do is I just won't support the amendment, that's okay.
That's fine.
But I'll support the original motion.
Right.
If the amendment passes, I'm not going to stand in the way.
Okay.
Bob, if you wanted to say something, I don't know, whatever, it's up to you.
Do you want to recognize audience member?
I'm okay either way.
What do you need?
Oh, I would, if your worry is that you find a good candidate and the salary is the most important part of that, I feel that it would be more important to increase the top number to have and maybe attract maybe larger candidates that have more experience and a bigger profile to bring to our town that could negotiate up to a higher number. That not so much start them at the bottom number to negotiate, but have somebody with the ability that has the knowledge and the resume to argue and negotiate for even a higher salary than the 155. Just because you say that your range is between 125 and 155, you could say your range is between 125 and 165, but that doesn't mean you're going to use the 165. But if the right candidate came along and showed you a resume that said, man, this guy gets
gets things done, has the experience and knowledge to be able to do that, let them negotiate to get the 165. I feel you may be restricting yourself from getting a super candidate that may want to come to a nice town like Dalton.
Bob, I think you're right. But last board, time the board hired a town manager 4 years ago, we decided on a candidate. And then the chairman, I don't know, I think it was you, Bob. No, it was Diver.
It was me.
Was you? Okay, you appointed myself and Strout to be a negotiating team. And we never felt that we were constricted by the range. The range is basically a guideline or a suggestion. If we thought, in this case, if it was me, I would, or some member of the board, I would agree with that. If you find the right candidate, you think, I mean, you confer with the board, of course.
Correct.
But you might go over 165 or 160.
That'd be the discussion of the board.
Yeah, that'd be the discretion of the board.
So it's not ruled out.
Okay, right, absolutely.
And if you look at what we're seeing here, you're not seeing it, but basically the top range is up to 160, and the actual top salary is 162. So we're in shooting distance.
Yeah.
I mean, I would support a ceiling of 165 so that we could potentially attract, you know,
I think
but I don't want to,
I'm gonna stay with what Tony's amended. He amended the bottom end.
Okay. Let's call for a vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Fair. Yes.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, it passes 3-1.
No motion.
You gotta vote as amended.
The motion on the original motion. Who seconds that?
I did.
Okay, all those in favor of the original motion?
Was the motion as amended?
As amended.
As amended.
I'm gonna, yeah, I'll support this one if we're having a discussion on this right now, just because I don't want to stand in the way of progress, so I'll support it.
Okay, all those in favor?
So this is what 135.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you.
Got that, Buzz?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay,
We got anything else for the buzz here?
his ad, anybody got any questions for the ad?
When do you think the search committee proper will be viewing applications as a date?
All right, yeah, I wanted to mention that to you. Bob and I are on the Zoom with the search committee Thursday at 3 o'clock, and we'll talk about the ad. We're also going to talk to them about dates, so that's important. Our goal is to get the ad out and the community profile at the end of the month. Now, as I told you, the community profile is going to be about, probably 6 pages, pictures, the ad, what we consider the ideal candidate profile, information about the community, the finances, the challenges, a little bit about the history, and that sort of thing. So our goal is to get both of those documents out by and posted Monday, July 28th, and give the candidates 4 weeks. That's typically what we do, 4 weeks, and that's the last Monday in July, and have the due date, resumes in, letters of interest and resumes by Monday, August 25th. So then Bob and I will be reviewing that, and depending on how everything plays out, we would think tentatively we're going to tell them probably the middle of September for their interviews. Middle of September, and typically what we like to do is we can bang it out. We'd like to try to bang them on one day. Occasionally we've done them on a Saturday, but that can be a problem with not necessarily the candidates, but it can be a problem with the committee, how busy people are these days. So we can get it done during the week, sort of mid-September, let's say, mid to late September. Then we like to the next week with you folks, with the candidates with you folks. It could be the last week in September, it could be the first week in October. But it's the pace is gonna move like that. Once we get them in, then things are gonna move, things are gonna move. And we'll be talking, with the search committee in detail about that on Thursday.
Great, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or concerns? Thank you, Buzz.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Looking forward to working with you folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the meeting.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good night.
Good night now.
Good night.
Okay.
Okay, number 11, discussion regarding creation of a select board policy and procedure committee. Take it away, Tony.
Okay, I mentioned this several sessions ago, or meetings ago, and basically the proposal I have before the select board is that the select board establish a policy and procedure committee, citizen volunteers to examine and recommend a handbook of best practices and expected outcomes relating to the powers, duties, and functions of the Dalton Select Board. Letters of interest should be forwarded to the town manager. Newly elected, I did some homework with MMA. I attended a new conference, new select board conference. There were many of us there, and I just feel that there should be some sort of orientation for new select board members, some manual, some guidance in terms of what our powers and duties are, the functions of government, knowledge of 2.5, the open meeting laws, executive session meetings. At the very least, just something when someone is elected, they have a reference. And so I've talked to 1 or 2 people. They are interested in serving. I would hope that more people would serve.
How many do you want on this committee?
Boy, at least 3, Bob, but I'd like as many as were willing and able. I find it difficult to
Got to limit it.
Yeah, 3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Yeah,
5.
not 5, yeah. But I know 2 people that I know of I've approached, and they're willing, but again, it would be open to the public.
Yes, that's what I would like.
One thing about is, being advised about how to be a selectman, there are plenty of publications available from the MMA and almost every facet of government, finance committee, select board, board of appeals, etc. I don't know how this committee could possibly improve the existing system.
I think, John, whatever the committee comes up with, we are unfortunately not bound by that proposal.
No.
I understand that. But at least it gives some guardrails. And there are other communities. I talked to an individual at MMA. Matter of fact, she's a select board person in Addendums. I'm waiting to hear back. I hope to meet with her tomorrow evening. There are other communities that do have a policy and procedure manual. Williamstown is one. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I think we're going to
That's
go off
right.
some other manuals or policies that other communities have,
Mhm.
fit it with their own,
Yep.
and have some starting point for new select board people. That's the thought.
I think, Tony, it is a worthwhile endeavor. I would give it some guardrails, and I have a couple of suggestions myself that should be implemented. But I like to see it keep it small, because I think I don't know if this fits the bill for an ad hoc committee. I don't want to go through that again.
No, I would think it'd be an ad hoc.
Okay,
No more.
it would?
Well, I mean, because now you're getting open meeting law going, and if you're talking about a committee of 3,
Yeah.
I suppose you can have minutes taken and all that.
See, I prefer ad hoc.
Yeah,
Because we would be advising the town manager.
Yeah, mayor should be ad hoc, but I think, something like this is just recommending.
Right.
I don't-
Maybe you want to check with Tim on
Whatever you
that.
guys want to do,
Well,
I just.
I'd rather see it, Tony, with you, I agree. Let's try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And,
Well, there it is. Yeah. Here's a point. point in fact, is it going to run afoul of the of the open meeting law if we?
Well,
create
Tony, I mean, if Terry's
Remember,
advocating for it, and
if I'm just saying that I appointed
Yeah.
the members,
Yeah.
and then, you know,
Good.
you're on.
That's the track to take. That's fine. I'd prefer that in a nutshell.
I mean, but it's up to you guys.
No, I'd recommend that would be a recommendation or recommending to the town manager policy and procedure manual.
I just think it's,
no, we get down to this 3-member committee, and they get a draft policies and recommendations for the board of selectmen. Do you think it's necessary to have a select person with experience to be one member of it?
Yeah, the liaison, all of us would have input, John, absolutely. I mean, that's.
Yeah, how about, yeah, we can
All of us.
all take a shot at it, rotating it out.
Yeah, all of us.
Hey,
would have a
no, yeah, we all have experience and insight and recommendations.
Yeah, but I like the idea of we don't, avoiding open meeting.
I think the idea of a 3-person committee is enough.
Good.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
And then whether you guys come in as just, sit in on the meetings, or whether you want to be one of the 3 as a rotating member, it's up to you. You tell me.
I'd rather see that,
Yeah.
rotating it out.
So, I mean, I know,
Yeah, particularly the chair.
spoke to me, they wanted to be on the committee, I already got 1 person.
So you only need one more.
Why don't we need 2 people, and then
Yeah.
you guys rotate through it?
I mean, and I put any workload on anybody, but I think just get things started, and Bob's vast experience of being chairman and lifetime on this board,
Yeah,
he's a natural candidate till we start out, the
Yeah.
rest of us can stay rotating it out.
Yeah.
Sound good?
and that way it definitely is gonna be ad hoc, because you couldn't do that.
Good, good.
There you go.
To be honest, I could see this being more of an administrative exercise with one select board member and the town manager working together. I don't see why it has to be a big committee, even if it's 3 people. What's the point of that?
Get out opinions from on the street, as opposed to opinions from inside the house, so to speak.
I think,
I understand
I
that.
think the people,
If other towns have these policy manuals, why won't we just, borrow and adapt?
I think if I'm here in the public, they'd like to know more about what we're about. And this is an opportunity for them to step in and contribute. I mean, again, it may appear more like, I don't believe it'll be self-dealing on our part, but I believe
No.
that the public has input. With our input, it makes for a better manual.
Maybe. I just think
Yeah.
it's an unnecessary use of time, but that's just my opinion. I think it should be as a member of the select board and the town manager making a recommendation to the select board on a policy manual. But I see it simpler than you guys.
These
that's all.
members might have a lot more available time. I mean, I don't think Bob has the time to sit down and dictate it. He's got a lot of things going, he's got 2 jobs. I know I don't. No, I don't think you don't sit down and produce a document. So I think having 2 additional people would be very helpful, that are willing to be helpful and don't have
Take a
any
shot at it,
action to
see where
drive.
it goes.
Sure.
We'll take a shot at it, see where it goes, and we go from there.
I mean, if it's ad hoc, the other good thing is you can kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, you can disappear, it's up to you. You can disappear at any time.
Yeah, I'd say, I'm undue.
That's all
There
you
you
gotta do.
go. So we don't have to vote.
No, as far as I
So it's in your good hands, dear.
And Tony, though, has a couple of people in mind,
Yes.
I'm sure forward them to me, and I can contact those relevant.
I think this is
Fair
Okay.
enough.
not a full-blown thing. Anyway,
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on.
Mr. Chairman, I feel obligated to mention this to Terry. Obviously, when I asked for the date, is that you're gonna start looking at applications till mid-September or end of September. Obviously, that's obviously that's gonna interfere with your travel.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that.
We do, but at some point we're gonna have to talk
on
about
the
it.
agenda.
Yeah. All right.
John, you forgot, I had his airplane tickets locked up.
Ah, good. Thank you, Bob.
I forgot to tell you, Terry, they gave it to me.
Should have asked. Okay.
Okay, discussion regarding payment in lieu of taxes.
Yes, okay. Again, several sessions ago, I wanted to present this, and Bob said now would be a good time, so I'd like to read this letter. And it's really based on the state auditor's report of just this year. So, to whom it may concern. The Office of the State Auditor's Report, quote, pursuing equitable state-owned land reimbursement for municipalities, describes the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes, where municipalities receive local aid for state-owned land hosted within their borders. The report delineates the unequal distribution of pilot reimbursements, particularly in western Massachusetts. Pilot reimbursements range from $5 to over $28,000 per acre. The report notes that, quote, large swaths of state-owned land and protected land contribute to our state's climate goals in reducing carbon emission and greenhouse gases. Quote, parks, forests, and wildlife management areas provide value and that cannot be measured by the market, unquote, sequestering carbon, affording wildlife habitat, and providing recreational benefit. The report lists among its 3 findings, quote, the valuation formula for state-owned land does not account for the environmental and public health benefits produced by protected land. Increasing appropriations have resulted in larger pilot reimbursements to municipalities, but have masked inequalities in per acre reimbursement. And final quote, 75% of municipalities hosting at least 1,000 acres of state-owned land receive pilot reimbursements below the state median of $127 per acre. And again, the mean is not the average, the mean is the middle number. As of January 2025, Dalton received approximately $92,000 in pilot reimbursement for 4,415 acres of state-owned land. This equates to just under $21 per acre. That's what we receive from the state. The report lists 3 recommendations: target annual supplementing funding to municipalities with pilot reimbursements per acre below the state median to account for the conservation and recreation value of their protected land. 2, increase pilot funding by at least the average percentage change in state-owned land values to protect municipalities experiencing lower land value growth from losing funding to municipalities with higher land value growth. And 3, establish a hold harmless safeguard to provide funding stability so municipalities can plan for future expenditures, knowing that their funding will not decrease year to year. In light of the report's findings and recommendations, the Dalton Select Board urges our Berkshire County legislators and sister communities to provide this report's findings and recommendations to more equitably fund local aid through the pilot program. It would be signed by the Dalton Select Board, copy Senator Paul Mark, Representative Leigh Davis, Representative John Barrett, Representative Tricia Farley-Bouvier, Town of Beckett, Cummington, Hinsdale, Peru, Washington, Windsor, and the City of Pittsburgh. So basically, we're providing, in my mind, an environmental asset to our state, if not our nation, and we're not being compensated. And it's a tremendous amount of acres, not just in our community, but in our sister communities in Western Mass. We have a very small voice, but I just feel if we alert our other communities, maybe our voice will be that much larger or greater, and we will be reimbursed accordingly, certainly much more than $21 an acre for a terrific carbon sink in terms of impacting climate change and greenhouse gas emissions. So that's it in a nutshell.
Hang on one second.
This is a point of reference. 3 or 4 years ago, I think Bob was on the board, we had 100 acres of land up on North Mountain, West Mountain, whatever you call it. And we sold it to the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, or whatever it was, $1,000 an acre. $100,000 the town got for that, 100 acre parcel. So this is an indication of its worth. And what we get, $21 is the valuation. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay. August 11th, Lee Davis is coming to Dalton at the stationery factory for a community talk. And this would be a good thing to bring up to her. Okay. And, they're inviting the public. It's going to be from 4 to 6 at the stationery factory.
Okay. Hopefully she'll get a copy before then, but sure.
Yeah, I would send her a copy ahead of time. So
Well, that's...
Tony, you think we should take a vote in favor of this?
I'd like to, yes, signed off.
Let's, just real quick, the action items that we're requesting. In light of the report's findings and recommendations, the Dalton Selectboard urges our Berkshire County legislators and sister communities to promote the report's findings and recommendations to more equitably fund local aid through the pilot program.
Yes.
So that's it, just
That's
advocacy, but no actual.
Well,
big
this
ask.
is the basis of,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. It's a request.
We want to start this conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. I like it, it's good.
So,
Motion?
Chairman, I move that we authorize Mr. Petty Rule and on August 11th to bring this matter up with State Rep. Lee Davis and state that the board fully agrees with this proposal and is in support of it.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just maybe add an amendment or we can vote on the letter separate.
I don't understand what, it's all part and
Didn't sound
parcel.
like,
It's
So it was all
all
one
part and
thing.
parcel.
didn't sound like the motion included us actually approving the letter, but
Oh, I see.
John,
It wasn't clear.
Yeah, I'm going to amend my motion to include support for the letter, acceptance and support for the letter.
Second.
second the amendment,
That's good.
vote on the amendment.
Okay, roll on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we'll vote on the original.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I just say one quick thing? Can her session be put on the announcements? Because it's not on the announcements here, so the public understands when it's coming up.
What's that?
Lee Davis.
Lee Davis?
Lee
I'm going to
Davis.
make an announcement for that. It's actually, she's got it on her website and stuff.
Okay, but I'm just saying it's not on the select board's
It will
announcement.
be on next time. We just found that
Thank
out
you.
the other day.
Well, the next meeting will be after
After
the
the-
11th, so if you just include it in tonight's announcements.
I'm going to ask Lori to put it on the town website.
And the website.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Clean committee air update. Okay, first of all, I want to straighten out a few things about the committee itself. The name and structure of the committee is the Clean Air Committee. The committee will report to the town manager. Everything and anything goes through the town manager. There's going to be 7 committee members: John Boyle, Dennis Croughwell, Richard Hall, Nancy Hopper, Tony, David Pugh, Henry Rose. Those are your committee members. And then there's 3 advisory members, which is Yanko, Kim Wetherell, and Agnes. Is that agreeable?
It's not limited to them 3.
No.
Any expertise that
Yeah, any expertise.
you want to avail yourselves of.
What
And just to clarify for the public, Yanko Tomasic, he's the town planner, Kim Wetherell, she's the conservation agent, is that correct?
Yeah.
And Agnes Witkowski is the
Health
health
agent.
agent.
Yeah.
Okay. Just for the public, so they know who they
We
are.
moved in. Okay.
Should we make a motion?
I would like to have you make.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we establish a committee to be known as the Clean Air Committee. And as you just outlined the structure of the committee, we could have more during the motion. But the committee members are John Boyle, Dennis Croughwell, Richard Hall, Nancy Hopper, Antonio Peguero, David Pugh, Henry Rose. With 3 advisory members at this time: John Yanko, Thomas Zick, Jim Wetherell, and Agnes Witkowski.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I just also want to say, anyone that needs to speak to a department head, any of these 3 people, or any department heads in general, please make an appointment before you go in. Because I've had a couple of department heads talk to me and say they would love to talk to people, but a lot of times they're in the middle of something. So if you need to speak to any department head, please make an appointment, okay? And that way they can give you the full attention, all right? Okay, now, approved letter to Building Commission regarding enforcement of Berkshire County concrete operations at parcel 105-16.
Want me to do that? Terry, you want me to do that, or if I do that? Want me to do that? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll read it, okay. So, here's a letter, I'm gonna just preface what I want to say before I read this letter. And I've written down a bunch of material, but I missed our first Clean Air Committee on the 10th. And so I want to thank Terry and David Pugh for running that, and Berkshire Environmental was present also. I want to thank them right up front. So those minutes aren't there. But in the past, I've spoken about irregularities in terms of the permitting process. And I want to thank Agnes and Yanko and Kim in terms of bringing me up to speed in terms of the turn of events over these last 3 years. Just for the record, Lot 105-16 is a 50-acre parcel which has been mined without a valid permit for the last 3 years, beginning in 2022, and currently the permit will expire in November of 2025. Tens of acres have been mined, thousands of cubic yards of material have been removed, dozens of trees. Berkshire Concrete must apply for a special permit every November through the planning board. In November of 22, the planning board issued a permit. The lot was not noted at the top of the permit. However, the lot was noted in the topographical map. And as a result, the planning board missed that and mining began. Just 5 months later, however, and again, when I mentioned irregularities, Berkshire Concrete submitted a notice of intent to the Conservation Committee, which was incomplete. DPU noted that there was missing longitude and latitude locations, and in addition to other information. By July of 23, a new notice of intent had been issued, and this time it did note Lot 105-16. Again, July of 23. It's interesting to note that there were abutters, some 30-odd abutters listed to the assessor's office, which was given to Berkshire Concrete. And to date, I only know of 5 residents. I don't know of any residents. I've asked 5 residents if they've received notice of that abutter notice. I went to the post office and I said, was this an envelope? And they said, no. There's the stamp or whatever, and it says that was a flat. That was a large package. And for whatever reason, I certainly asked that if the public knows, having received that in July of 23, I'd like to know that. But 5 of the 5 that I contacted did not receive it. And that's a result of not having certified mail. So that certainly would be a condition in the future. Certified mail is the route to go in alert the butters. In November of 23, Berkshire again was issued a permit for lot 105-16. Again, was noted at the top, but the topographical map was correct. Mining continued. In November of 24, just last winter, things began to heat up, so to speak, in their 3rd year of mining, where they approached the abutters' properties. And as we know, in that winter, in these last 6 months, there's been a chorus in terms of neighbors, citizens coming forth complaining about the sand and what has been going on. So that's where we're at today. The Board of Health, again, issued a notice in terms of a requirement for, under the public nuisance law, they asked DEP to intervene. DEP said, no, this is the town's purview under the public nuisance law. And basically, we asked for mitigation. Berkshire Concrete provided mitigation. Again, no stamped approval by an engineer. Unilaterally, they told us what they were going to do to mitigate the property. It was also issued that a cease and desist order through the planning board. Again, there's no mining going on this last winter, spring, and they're processing only. Mitigation was complete by June 13th of this year, but again, only half of the property that was mined has been mitigated in terms of loaming and seeding. Several weeks ago, the Selectboard, I brought up that we take the mantle from the Board of Health and request that mitigation for the property be complete. Our attorney informed us that we couldn't do this. This was not within our purview, and that rules and regulations by the Board of Health had to be forthcoming first. So, I'm grateful that the Dalton Clean Air Coalition provided an avenue in terms of bylaws. And in turning to the bylaws, we do have recourse in terms of dealing with the situation. John, Terry, and I Zoomed with Alex, the attorney now assigned to us through Koppelman, our attorneys. And I will say that we went through bylaws, we went through a brief history of what I've just outlined. And one of the most immediate results of the meeting was that, in terms of the trucking bylaws, Berkshire Concrete now does tarp their vehicles. Our chief sent a representative over there and indicated that vehicles would be stopped if the wheels were not clean, and that the state police were informed of this also. If you go by there now, you'll see what I term a washing station. It's a yellow pad, and there's continuous sprinklers, and the trucks drive over them, and those vehicles have their wheels washed as they exit the property. So that's a bit of good news, and that's a good neighbor indication on Berkshire Concrete's part. Okay, I'd like to read the letter. So July 14th, 2025, this is addressed to Brian Duville, our zoning enforcement officer, town of Dalton, regarding Berkshire Concrete Corporation's operation at Assessor's Parcel 105-16. Dear Mr. Duville, on behalf of the Dalton Select Board and pursuant to Section 350-128B of the Dalton zoning bylaw, the bylaw, please accept this letter as a request for zoning enforcement relative to Berkshire Concrete Corporation's, BCC, mining and material processing operation at Assessor's Parcel 105-16 in the town of Dalton, the BCC property. As you are aware, Section 350-90 of the bylaw states as follows. Hereafter, no land, building, or structure in any district shall be used or occupied for manufacturing or other non-residential purposes in such a manner so as to create any dangerous, injurious, noxious, or otherwise objectionable conditions such as fire, explosion, or other hazard, noise or vibration, smoke, dust, dirt, or other form of air pollution, electrical or other disturbance, glare, or any other dangerous or objectionable substance, condition or element in such amount as to adversely affect the surrounding area or premises. The determination of the existence of any dangerous or objectionable elements shall be made at or beyond the property lines of the use creating such elements, wherever the effect is greatest. Any use already established on the effective date of this bylaw shall not be so altered or modified as to conflict with or further conflict with these performance standards. The Select Board continues to receive reports of dust and excessive noise leaving the BCC property and adversely affecting the abutting residential neighborhood. The Select Board understands that BCC hydroseeded certain portions of the BCC property as a means of mitigating the dust leaving the BCC property. It is the Select Board's opinion that the areas hydroseeded to date are insufficient to prevent ongoing dust impacts on the abutting residential neighborhood. The Select Board believes all previously mined areas on the BCC property must be loaned and hydroseeded to prevent ongoing violations of Section 350-90 of the bylaw. The Select Board also respectfully requests that you require BCC to loan and hydroseed all areas on the BCC property which have been mined as required by Section 350-61E3 of the bylaw, which states as follows. The entire area, except exposed ledge rock, shall be covered with not less than 4 inches of good quality loam, which shall be planted with cover vegetation adequate to prevent soil erosion, using either grasses or ground cover, depending upon conditions. Based on the foregoing, the Select Board respectfully requests that within 7 days of this request, you order BCC to immediately begin loaming and hydroseeding all previously mined areas on the BCC property as follows. Assessor's Parcel 105-16, copy to the Select Board. Thank you for your immediate attention to this matter. Respectfully, Dalton Select Board. This letter, this letter was drafted by our attorney, Alex, as I mentioned, who's been assigned to us. I did a modification because one of the parcels was not correct, but basically he's looked at our bylaws and he's written this letter. It's our opinion that we submit this letter as is.
Okay, I have an opinion on this. I want this thing resolved just as much as anybody else, but my 35 years on the Conservation Commission, when you go into a property that's needs repairs, you don't tell them how to repair it, because if it fails, it's on you. We're putting ourselves at risk here, telling them that to fix it, and if it doesn't solve the problem, it's on us. And we lose our enforcement.
I think, Bob,
You just tell them to mitigate it according to the standards. You don't tell them how to do it. You're putting yourself liable.
well, Bob, I understand what you're saying, but if you read the quote, it's from our bylaw.
I don't care. That's just the way it is, Tony. If you're putting yourself at risk, the bylaw's fine, but if you put yourself out there, you're subject to getting sued. I'm telling you, if it doesn't work.
But Bob, let me just read it again. There's the first part of it, and there's the second part. And the second bylaw is it's the bylaw. It's the bylaw that the attorney is speaking to. The bylaw that's in black and white says 350-61E3 of the bylaw, which states as follows. So this isn't an opinion now. This is the bylaw that he's quoting. The entire area, except exposed ledge rock, shall be covered with not less than 4 inches of good quality loam, which shall be planted with cover vegetation adequate to prevent soil erosion, using either grasses or ground cover, depending on the conditions. BCC has done that for just under half of the property. So we're not asking them to do something different. We're asking them to complete the mitigation based on the bylaw.
That's all you have to ask them. You don't demand them to do it.
Well, we're asking or directing, I mean, I don't know what verb you want to use, Bob, but we're just saying, complete the project.
I don't feel comfortable.
Has the mitigation plan been reviewed?
Well, the mitigation plan has been completed June 13th, that they indicated that it was done. They had the fence put up or what have you,
But
but
at the town meeting, we voted to appropriate a certain sum of money for technical review of the mitigation plan as well as legal expenses associated with.
no, at the meeting, we voted $25,000 for legal services and then technical services for air monitoring and silica testing. Those were the technical broken out, $14,000 for silica sand monitoring and $20,000 for air monitoring. So I'm just saying, we have a bylaw. We're asking them to complete what they've started. And it's based on, and I'm going to be honest, I think BCC probably looked at our bylaw and said, well, this is how we're going to mitigate, because this is what their bylaw says to do. And we're just saying, please complete the mitigation.
Yeah, I mean, you brought this up over a month ago to this board, and there was the question of whether we had the authority to order it.
We did not under the Board of Health. I went that route as a public nuisance. And that route, our attorney said, no, we can't do that. I respect that. Obviously, I'm not going to challenge our attorney, but in turning to our bylaws give us the authority to move ahead and ask
I
for
think the bylaws coming from the planning board.
Yeah,
It's a zoning bylaw.
does the select board have the authority to enforce the zoning bylaw?
Well, all I know is when I asked Alex to write this letter on our behalf, he wrote this letter on our behalf.
Okay.
So this has been approved, this letter has been approved by the attorney.
Yes.
And in it, you're requesting, not ordering anybody.
Well, yeah, right here, John. Right there.
With respect to the request
It says request.
that the zoning enforcement officer issue the orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the semantics are as important as the expected outcome. But
I understand.
So I think, no, I mean, he is here. The building inspector, I think I understand is all we're doing is requesting that he do this. If he doesn't feel comfortable with it, well, then it's prerogative.
Brian, you want to come on?
I just weigh in for a little bit on this.
Why not, sit down, grab a chair.
So, I did talk to Tony about this before, and it seems to me that this was something that was put together with a designated outcome. How do we get them to cover the lot? Because the sections of the zoning that are being talked about, the 350-90 is a performance standard section. It has nothing to do with earth removal. It has to do with creating dust leaving the property. Nothing to do with earth removal. So the violation would be, okay, if you're in violation of that section, my order would be you have to do something to mitigate dust leaving that site. If I sent that order to them, they're going to come back to me and say, we've done that. Here's what we did. We did the trees, we did the planting, we did the berm, we did the fence. To my knowledge, to the Board of Health's knowledge, those measures are in place right now and are working. Board of Health, I checked with, as of today's date, is not anywhere convinced that those measures are not working. So me trying to send another enforcement, and it certainly wouldn't be me saying you have to do the covering, the 4 inches, because that language is language for remediation of earth removal if you have an earth removal permit in place for that parcel. And that remediation is if you're denied a permit. If they get denied the permit, then they'll have to do that, because that's the way it's written. But you're grabbing at a section for earth removal language about how to cover something and making them cover something that if they abandon the site, if they get denied the permit, that they'll have to do. That's the way that earth removal permit reads. If you read that section, if they're denied a permit, they must do these things to remediate the site. Then that kicks into that. But to try to say you're in violation of the performance standards and you have to use, and you have to do something that's in the earth removal language for that site, they don't have a permit. Everybody knows there's no permit for that parcel. They are shut down. There is no active permit. No one has disagreed that there's a permit there. So you can't violate them on one section and try to use the language for earth removal, which they don't have a permit for, to try to force them to do this. They'll appeal that in 2 seconds, and that's the really, it was kind of a flimsy thing to put together, to use one section to violate and say, here's how you fix it, in the language of the other one.
I have to disagree.
I know you disagree, and respectively, we'll both disagree on it, but I'm just telling you, as the enforcing agent, I don't feel comfortable trying to use one section and use the standards of another section that doesn't currently apply.
It does apply. 350-61 speaks to earth removal. It's a zoning bylaw.
Right. If there was
they don't have a permit. Can I finish?
Yes.
They don't have a permit, and it says here clearly, this bylaw shall not apply to a removal operation which is the subject of an official valid permit or license. They don't have a permit.
Okay.
So this bylaw applies to the loaming and seeding. I'm certain the attorneys for BCC read this bylaw and said, we have to abide by the bylaw. They've completed it to 48%. We're saying completed in its entirety. Our attorney is saying this. I'm not saying this. No one is saying this, but our attorney, our legal advice.
I understand your position on it.
Well, it's not my position, it's the attorney's position, which I fully support.
I mean, no one would like to see them cover the site totally rather than me.
Right.
Actually, when we were all standing there, anybody that was there that day when we were all on site, if you remember, it is me that stood up in front of everybody and said, wait a minute, are you telling me you're not covering the rest of this? You're only doing this? They're taking a huge gamble that those measures that they put in place are going to work to keep the dust down, because if it doesn't, it's going to negatively impact them to get their special permit.
Brian, I got to say, I'm advocating for the citizens. I'm not advocating for BCC.
I understand. I
prefer to catch flies with honey than with vinegar. But right here, we have a bylaw, which our attorney says is applicable, and we're asking them and requesting them, and in the process asking you to enforce this request. That's how I see it. And they've done this. It didn't take them long, and they've just got to complete it. In a nutshell. I mean, I don't think they pulled this out of their hat how they were going to mitigate. I think they went to the bylaw and said, this is what we're going to do. And we're saying finish it. And when I say we, our attorney, and I would hope our select board in this matter. And they've been very good in terms of the trucking bylaw, which I mentioned. They did do what we asked to do. The chief did go there. The trucks were tarped, and now there's a wash station. So I'm hopeful that they'll continue to be a good neighbor and complete this. And I don't see it as being above and beyond their capabilities by any means. They completed
It's
mitigation.
really not about their capability, it's just, as the enforcing person here, I have a problem with how it got put together. I can see what's gonna be the problem.
I don't see that problem at all. Our attorney was,
I'm the one that has to do it, so I'm telling you, I see the problem.
well, when we last met Brian, our attorney said he would gladly draft a letter on your behalf if you're uncomfortable or uncertain. And our attorney said he would do that, and he'll do that, if you so wish.
I don't so wish, I would like to have a conversation with the attorney about how they go about that, and then maybe I'd feel more comfortable with it.
I think
But
that's
right
a
now,
great idea.
I think,
I just
think
don't feel
Brian, the
comfortable
attorney, should speak.
the way that that's worded like that. You're taking one section, you're saying you're in violation of this, you gotta do this, and those two aren't the same section.
Brian, do you agree though that something should be done and now? You agree with the bottom line?
I agree measures had to be put in place to mitigate the dust. That
And
was
you
a
think
problem.
you have it?
As far as I know, until, you know, the proof.
I mean,
Right now, it's the Board of Health. That if the Board of Health,
Every Monday night, we sit here and we listen to the continuing complaints, so we're led to believe that
Then the
the
Board of Health is-
situation hasn't been resolved.
the Board of Health has got to be the one who grabs that complaint and then runs with it. Because if they find that it's not working, they can say, look, you put these measures in place, we ordered you, it's not enough. You got to do more. And that's what it's going to be. You have to do more.
Well, you know, Brian, you're asking the Board of Health to do more.
They're the-
And we're asking you
wanna have
to do more.
enforcement.
We're asking you to do more, and we're gonna give you the tool with our attorney to do that. I feel
I'd like to
perfectly
take a look at
comfortable
it
with this letter as it's written.
I will gladly review it with the attorney.
I'd like it to be reviewed with Brian, the attorney and the town manager. Terry, have you reviewed this letter with council?
Well, we all.
What's the recommendation?
As Tony mentioned, we had the Zoom session, and then Tony had this letter drafted, basically his request at the Zoom. And, you know, I've looked at the bylaws, and again, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but, you know, you can interpret them as any legal document. You can interpret them and make an opinion on them in a way which could go either way. I think what Brian was, I mean, what he's saying is he's saying the Board of Health has to show that there's been dust blowing since they finished this partial mitigation. I mean, clearly they didn't have a permit ever have a permit for this particular parcel. And that's one of the things that I think weighs against them.
Well, it also,
They've been mining it without it really existing in the special
it
permit.
makes it difficult for us to enforce special permit conditions if they don't have a special permit for the law.
I mean, it's kind
No,
of.
we have to do something.
And our job, you know, as a select board, is obviously we do represent the citizens, but we're also representing the interests of the whole town, writ large. And we don't want to subject the town to unnecessary legal challenges and expenses if we can avoid it. So I'm a little concerned. I mean, I know it would be nice to have the attorney explaining this to all of us. Exactly where they're, how they rationalize using 350-61, which is a special permit condition for earth removal. How do they use that when there's no special permit attached to the lot, and then just use the performance standard of 350-90, which again would apply to a special permit as well. So I'm having difficulty reconciling it. But if it's the attorney's recommendation, I may support that, but I'm concerned.
What do we suggest here? Brian and Tony, interim town manager, meet as soon as possible via Zoom and iron this out?
I think I'd like to submit this letter as it is. And in the process, having made our stand, then have our attorney draft a letter, as Alex said he would, on behalf of our zoning enforcement officer.
Let's just be clear, this letter is to Brian. Brian can then take this letter, he can sit down with the town council and review, and, you know, it really is up to the zoning enforcement officer, Brian, in this case, to proceed. This isn't going to Berkshire Concrete, it's going to Brian, this letter.
But we're directing him to proceed.
I understand. Yeah.
We direct him to proceed, predicated on the fact that he reviewed it and is in agreement with the town attorney.
No, I have no problem, a conversation with our attorney as to how to proceed, because as I've said, for the third time, Alex said he would draft a letter. If it's not a letter, it could be a conversation with Terry or whomever else. But I stand behind this letter based on our own bylaws and our attorney's opinion regarding our own bylaws.
Okay.
No, I think it would probably serve as well as Brian, the attorney, if he firmly believes in his position, and he obviously does, tells that to Brian firsthand. Okay? Is that a solution? Have we all agreed to that?
I would support
Okay.
it. Brian was agreeing with what that attorney said.
Brian, you prepared to sit down, and
If I
the
feel
attorney
comfortable-
says this is rock solid legal, this is what you
If
should
I feel
do,
comfortable after talking with the attorney, then no
then you
problem.
will do it.
Yes.
Wait, but that's not what we're directing in this letter. We're directing it to go forward. We're asking the attorney to clarify with our zoning enforcement officer just how to go forward.
Yes.
So our authority is to go forward. How we go forward, the attorney will address that with zoning enforcement.
Well, if they're gonna have a conversation and Brian feels uncomfortable and he asks questions, this would be his opportunity to clarify it.
How to go forward.
Yes.
So long as we go forward, Joe, that's the
I
point.
don't, you gotta do something, that's what I'm saying.
So long as we go forward under the bylaws and what our attorney's indicated, which is our rightful position.
Are we legal telling them this when it's actually a planning board issue?
He said we could issue this letter. I mean, he's doing it on behalf of the select board. I mean, you could ask, you know, he sat there with us.
I would like to know under what authority we have to do that, not the planning board.
It's a bylaw. You know, that's a good question, Bob. Maybe I shouldn't assume, but Alex was there. He said, you know, he didn't indicate it had to go through planning. I mean, here it is. He did it, signed off on behalf of the select
I
board.
mean, do you think I don't want that? I'd go over there and see it myself.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I understand, Bob. That's a good question. But basically, Alex never brought up that flag and said, no, this isn't your purview. Tim did that when we tried to take the mantle from the Board of Health. That was clear. So we didn't pursue that avenue because that isn't our purview, but it appears that this is our purview.
Well, I agree with you entirely that it's possible that we could violate somebody's legal rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we also sit here, if we do nothing, you can be sure that this board and the town is going to face a lawsuit.
You know, just at our last town meeting, in terms of complaints, Mrs. Carcel, if you were there, where we were there, spoke up and talked about how she couldn't open her windows because sand was coming through the windows.
And now she's got lung trouble too.
Well, again, we're advocating for our citizens.
Yeah.
I understand the caution and hesitation, but I think we're doing the right thing, and our attorney is advising us accordingly.
Well,
Let's see if the attorney can talk to Brian. It seems to be perhaps legalese misunderstanding, because no one here in this room is a lawyer, I don't think. And then we can send a letter, and we can even vote that if Brian and the attorney agree with the letter with minor modifications, that we agree to send it.
And go forward, John.
Go absolutely forward, absolutely.
Okay, that's the bottom line, John, that we move forward with it.
You up for that, Brian?
Complete.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, you're gonna have to already tell me, Jerry.
yeah, I'm sure.
We arranged this, face to face with these two. I know lawyers' time, again, you just tell us to avoid the lawyer. But we just coming back to it all the time.
Yeah, it seems so way.
Well, we have monies. We
I
have
also
monies.
feel
Oh, yeah, we got a new budget.
Yeah.
I mean, what we did
Does-
this old year budget, we got a new budget.
There's also, without documented reports of what's actually happening, it's very difficult to base a letter ordering someone to do something when we're receiving reports of dust and excessive noise leaving the BCC property. I get that, there's people saying things, but where's the documentation?
There's been one complaint.
Actual documentation of a town official going out, well, since they,
Yeah, on the
I understand that
22nd,
it did
there was one.
mitigation plan.
On the 22nd, I don't know if there's others, since last week or whatever, but yeah, there was one on the 22nd. And there's certainly many more complaints from when mitigation wasn't in place.
I just feel like without documented, a substantial amount of documented complaints, it's difficult to stand on, basically just,
We've all the
someone
complaints we've heard here for
saying
6 months.
they
in
believe
February.
something's true.
They're all documented, they're a matter of public record. We've heard thousands of complaints.
Yeah, but that's not somebody going out and verifying that this is happening right now.
But they're a complaint. And
Yeah,
so
but
far,
it's-
we've done virtually nothing. It's time to do something.
Well,
Oh, well, what?
without documentation, I don't think it's legally sound.
That's,
Any complaint. It
What
doesn't
do you
anything
suggest
about
now?
me.
We go back to ground zero and get every one of these people to sign an affidavit that there's dust all over their place every
That's
day?
not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm talking about the Board of Health going out and monitoring the actual air. Why are we not doing that now?
Well, that, we just had the appropriation.
I understand, so these things take time, and I feel like we might be jumping the gun and saying that we continue to observe dust leaving the site when we don't know that to be exactly true.
Dan, I'll talk to you about board health afterwards.
So, I don't know.
Todd Collins would like to say something.
Robert?
I guess I'm gonna stand up as a planning board member. So, a couple things, I wanna, the monitoring and the, complaints. The best way to do the monitoring out there is to enact the dust monitoring systems that we've been talking about for 3 or 4 months. That would be a no-brainer if the machine goes off and registers a high dust cloud or high particle content in the air. Nobody can argue that. It is factual, it is scientific, and that cuts right the chase. It's not your opinion that dust is
That's
X
what I'm
amount of
saying.
part. You have to, we as a town, as a group, we need to implement the air monitoring systems, 2 to 3 of them, as soon as possible. And we need to get them going now. If we wait and get these things going 3 months from now and we're into the fall and the rainy season, we're missing the major dust part of the year. And I just feel that, I know we have Berkshire Environmental on board now. I feel that they should be requested to set up 2 to 3 monitoring systems up there to immediately start oversight. And those machines do 24/7, and to take Dan's words, nobody has to run up there and see the dust. Because these machines, depending on if you use the purple monitoring system, there's actually a tracking system that has software that is Wi-Fi connected to a computer at town hall. I mean, it could be set up that everyone in this room that could get an alert that the particle and the content in the air at that time is above the threshold of whatever it is, 50 parts per million. And that right there, I think, would solve a lot of our issues of, is it really a nuisance or is it not? Those monitors will tell us. And then the last thing, I 100% agree that there was 30-some people that were not notified around the section map 105-16. But the reason, and I think people forget, the reason those people were not notified is because on the front of the application, there's a spot for the map and lot number of the areas to be worked on. And when those areas are put on the front of the application, it is then taken down to the assessor's office. And the assessor, by what is put on the application, then hands back to the planner, here are the list of people and addresses that need to be notified. Because 10516 was not on the front page, those 30 plus people were never notified because on the application, it wasn't there for them to be notified. And it was, just call it what you want, clerical error, oversight, but the point is it wasn't intent on the planning board or the town's behalf to oversee those people not being notified of what was going on. And I you know, as a planning board member, I feel bad that this is one of the things that got by us. I assure you, you know, on my behalf, I will be taking a way much more closer look at this. But I do believe we need to get the monitoring system enacted and started, and then nobody can argue that there is or isn't a problem there.
Thank you.
Just two things. Yes, tomorrow we have a scope of work to do just that. We're going to provide that. Our committee is working towards that end with the monies appropriated at town meeting, and that's in place in addition to silica sand testing. But as far as the abutters, I want to be clear. The abutters were supposedly notified through conservation. That was my point. And that assessor's list was given to me. I went to the post office, the stamp was there, and of the abutters, some 30-odd, the 5 I've spoken to never received it. So that was conservation.
Okay.
And we had no check on that because it was not certified.
Okay.
Okay. However, I don't want these statements to detract from this letter here.
Okay.
Okay. This is really the issue before us.
Yep, it is.
We all in agreement to let Brian talk to the attorney and proceed with this letter.
Yep. Tony, Brian.
Yeah.
Yep.
Three of us, yeah.
And hey, we want to get this out, so if you're happy, right, we'd like to get this out right away, not wait till August 18th.
Yeah, that's the problem, it's a month away.
Yeah, so
The next meeting.
if there's no significant changes, send a letter. Brian agrees to accept it and implement it.
And one last thing to Robert's point about right away. Unfortunately, this has to go through procurement. So it's not a matter of saying, you know, we've got to put together a scope.
Well,
of
we've
work.
already had Berkshire Environmental has really just started their work, you know, in the last week or
Right,
so.
but in terms of actually getting the monitors and procuring, her services are consultant services for the upcoming permit, for actual someone to come out here, place the monitors, provide information and data, 3 stations, what have you, whatever period. That has to go out to bid.
Why would that have to go out to bid when you already have environmental service that can do that service?
It's procurement. It's a service. You have to do it. It's Chapter 30B. It's over $10,000. It's over $10,000.
I think there should be a way to be able to say that this is an emergency.
Move on.
Yeah.
We got plenty.
Higher than 10, it's 30. If it's under 30, we don't have to, we don't have to.
It's not as stringent. It's not as stringent.
Maybe you can lease
You
the
have to
service.
solicit bids from 3 people.
Is it possible to lease the service, Tony?
I think you can get like, just, you know, you don't have to go through a huge.
No, you don't. You don't, but it's a process.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we're all in agreement?
So,
Okay.
are we voting on this letter?
Yes.
Everything's on hold.
Well,
No, we're voting to accept this letter and to have a meeting with our attorneys in terms of how to move forward with enforcement of this letter vis-a-vis our zoning enforcement office.
We got a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 14, discussion regarding moving the select board meetings back to the Callahan room at the town hall. I think it's a good idea to at least try it for a couple meetings to see how it goes. We just need to put out there ahead of time If anybody has a handicap request, let us know ahead of time so we can make arrangements to get them to the library. Otherwise, they're eligible to watch it on Zoom. And I think it's easier for our staff. Everything's right there. It's easier for us. Our mailboxes are right there and stuff, so.
If I can just say, entirely supportive of your position. Last Wednesday, when we were forming up the agenda, we talked about this. This would be a great move. We belong to Town Hall. We belong in the Callahan Room. That's what it's there for. That's where we should be. And there's plenty of room in there. Yeah, you get large crowds. We've had large crowds there. We've always been able to accommodate people. But it would make it much easier for the staff, our executive assistant, because all our files are there and things, and she can put her hands on them almost immediately. And, we try it for a couple of months and see how it goes.
If it doesn't go, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Is there any?
And the town manager, interim town manager, is supportive of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope the rest of the board
There's
is
a lot of
supportive.
work to setting up in this room.
Yeah, there's a lot of work here, yes.
You know.
We'll have to end up doing it.
Yeah,
Lori.
I saw,
Go ahead, Tony.
I saw this on the agenda and I didn't understand the reasoning per se. It just, you know, I can see both sides, but in all fairness, this is a very comfortable space. It's handicap accessible. The parking is easy. I mean, tonight there was a rainstorm.
Actually, Tony, you know, this is not a good format. The way this table is set up is not good because you can't look and talk directly to Dan. I know, I said Dan, I said, yeah, that's it.
That's an answer to that.
That's the answer. That's what happens over in the town hall. That's the way it's set up like that.
I get it.
Okay, so let's give it a try.
I'm really hesitant, John. Here we have.
I'm gonna put a motion, you can vote against it.
Yeah, put it for a motion, we can discuss in the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that for a trial period of, say, August, September, and October, a trial period of 3 months, we return to our office in the Town Hall Callahan room.
So what are you saying, John? Till when? Till the end of
I
September?
said 3 months, trial period.
Okay, well, till the end of October.
Well, for August, September, and October, yes. Do it.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion been
So-
made. Go ahead, Dan.
We authorized money to repair the lift at Town Hall. What's the status of that?
As far as what you are,
Repairing the lift?
the lift, I don't think there's anything that's happened on that.
Why would we move it without having that completed?
You have the lift in the library.
I understand that,
And
but
we have Zoom.
why did we authorize the money to repair that if that's not happening? And why would we move the meeting if that's not repaired yet? That's one concern. Two, it's a very small room, and it may have worked in the past, but there's a lot of issues before this board, particularly the one that was just before us for Berkshire County Concrete. And this room affords a much greater audience, more comfortable space to meet in. I mean, certainly we can try it, but I believe this is a superior meeting, location for the general public than the Callahan Room. It might be more convenient for staff, but it's certainly not more convenient for the general public.
Okay.
But that's where we are supposed to be. We're not supposed to be here. This was temporary, as with a lot of the committees that are meeting here. We are supposed to be in the town hall, the seat of government, in the Callahan room. And I don't see why we wouldn't return there, at least on a trial basis.
You know, John, I'd like to find a happy compromise just to see if indeed, but I know we're gonna get busy with planning board.
What are you suggesting? Is it?
How about, how about mid-September, John, something like that, so we have three meetings.
How about August, September?
3 meetings, how about 3?
Okay, August, September.
I mean, just try it.
I've been my meeting.
And I'd like to have comments from our citizenry come to us and say, yay, nay, I'd like to have them.
We would be, let's see, August, we have 1, September, probably 2.
Two.
Not in August.
One in August, yeah. But I think more importantly is.
That's why I said October, 3 months. It gives us 5 meetings.
Yeah.
Let's go with the 3 and see where it goes.
And let's see what people say. Because they're the ones that really.
No, I promise you, if there's any serious problems, I'll just, I'll be the first one to suggest it.
Okay, let's do.
My word about it, that's all.
Let's do till the end of September. I mean,
Fine.
and get a feedback.
Do I amend, did I want to make a motion?
I think you said the end of October.
Okay, I amend that to be August, all meetings are in August and September.
I'll second that, John.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Back to original motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll try it for the end of September and see what happens. If we have issues before then, we'll come back.
So, can I make just one comment?
Yes, sir.
On the agenda, can you put that if you're handicapped, you should reach out to someone?
Yes, that'll be on the website
Okay.
beforehand. It will be-
Yeah, because fortunately I don't have that problem, but
Plus we have Zoom.
Yeah, it's available for Zoom too.
yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay.
If there's problems in that area,
Yeah.
hey, where?
All right, number 15, town manager update.
Okay, I'll try to be as brief as I can. The first thing I want to talk about was Bob, John, Sandy Albano, and myself met last Wednesday with the Public Works Commissioner Ricardo Morales, Mayor Peter Marchetti, and their city attorney to discuss the updated municipal agreement for sewer treatment that will need to be accepted ultimately by the town because Lennox has already accepted it and they're doing the standard that's going to be all towns that deposit their solid, their wastewater in Pittsfield. This is turning out to be the first of more discussions. I think we went out there maybe with some real good thoughts that we were just going to whip this off, but it turns out that there's probably going to be more discussions about these changes requested because they're far-reaching and costly. The town is being pressed to update any sewer bylaws that are less stringent than Pittsfield and make sure that our flow meters at the 4 locations on the town lines are up to date and fully calibrated, and Pittsfield will be able to always look at the calibrations. It's also likely to result in fairly hefty increases in local sewer rates. So the current plan is to continue talks about this transition. They're mentioning not making it all in one shot, but they'll let us step up to match whatever Lennox is already paying. And so anyways, sewer bills are going to go up a lot.
How much is a lot? How much is a lot?
A lot. Close to double. Probably close to double.
In how many years?
As soon as the agreement is formulated, and they might let us step it up. I don't think they're going to go too long.
A year or two?
Yeah, almost, yeah. But I think, we may want to talk about, like, making some changes to how we do sewer. We only do one toilet, and act like everybody just has one John. Pittsfield bills a premium for the second toilet. And so, I mean, that might be worthy of talking. And then the greatest thing would be is if we had water meters, because, in Austin, Texas, which is a semi-arid area, my bill is literally, even comparing water and sewer to what I pay in Dalton now, is a third of that in Austin, Texas. So we're metered there, and we don't use it.
The thing is, Jerry, that's not our that's the fire district.
I know, the fire district is in charge of water, and flow. It's based on your water meter, the wastewater. They don't meter wastewater individually.
I think they strongly suggest to us as a town, all inclusive of the fire district, go or investigate installing meters.
That would have to be a joint meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, the one thought I had too was, I wonder if people voluntarily put meters in their own property, whether they'd be willing to then agree to bill you on metered rates.
Maybe you pay for having it being installed.
Yeah, if you.
Yeah, well, that's a good talking point.
And, I mean,
Sometimes
I
you
mean,
should have
deserve to
a-
say it's too
Well, there may be
costly.
grant available for meters too.
Yeah,
It's a long-term problem. Water's only gonna be more expensive, and it has to be conserved. And the fairest way, and I understand toilets may be one thing, but you could have a household with 5 or 6 with one toilet, you could have an elderly couple with 3 toilets. The fairest way, the most judicious way is the water meter.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But,
It's almost like, there the analogy is we get a big electric bill for November, and we just divvy it up among all the households. And that's what we're doing with water.
I think the townspeople, I've heard it time and time again. How come we're not on meters? Because the fire district controls it and they, well, they don't want it.
It's a conversation we should have with.
Yep.
Yeah.
the water sheriff.
So that's first thing. The other thing, just quickly, John, I, and we met with the so-called farm brewery stationery factory they want to set up. They plan to open up a tap room adjacent to the Shire House, but with no connection at all to that operation. It's totally separate. And they're currently hiring an architect to complete the layout, and they're going to work with the building inspector to, make sure everything is up to speed. They're pursuing necessary licensing, so to be able to serve and sell beer that they are pouring right there on site. But they've got a ways to go. But it was a good meeting, right?
Yeah,
I thought it was a great meeting. Today I signed a contract with the Foresight Land Services to provide engineering, surveying, permitting, and bidding services for the head wall replacement project for a culvert on Yvonne Drive. Normally this would not be as large a job as it is, but due to the presence of a gas line which has been exposed to erosion caused by the fallen head wall, it needs to be done expeditiously as possible. So I moved right ahead, and Foresight's going to do everything. However, Foresight believes that the actual project to completely fix this issue will be costing in excess of $50,000, and hopefully we'll have a good sense of the estimate in time for the fall town meeting so that we can appropriate the funds to actually make the repair. Just on the Barton property, and John and I have been in discussion on that, we were able to confirm that the final 9-acre parcel that the town still has is not covered under the APR as was the balance of the property. This is the final piece still held by the town. It's our hope now to be able to sell it and get it back on the tax rolls. And John and I just even talked about it tonight. It turns out, John, and I didn't even know about it, but Dawn came in. Turns out that back in 2018 at a town meeting, they had an article to transfer this parcel from the kind of tax title to the Selectboard's purview because they were looking at making a park.
It was gonna be North Mountain Park.
Yeah, and so it turns out that Dawn says, I'm not responsible to sell the property anymore. It's the Select Board controls this property now. And John was saying, well, we ought to just get they have it word out and advertise it.
Advertise and ask for sealed bids. I
Ballardini's
think the board would
the
be
only
in
one
agreement. Huh?
Ballardini's the only one that's got access
Well,
that would make sense.
Well,
That doesn't make any difference.
There's an easement, I believe, that's legal onto the property. I believe.
There's a legal easement into the property.
Yeah.
But that access easement goes through APR property. So it's subject to APR
They can't
regulation.
They can't do
They can't do
improvements.
They can't do
to the
nothing.
road.
Anyway, but what are they, there's a cap on the amount you can sell it for, of 35,000. If you go over that cap, it gets into all kinds of legal ramifications,
Yeah.
new legislation. If it's you put a price on it of under 35, It's just plain and simple. And the price is, the assessed valuation is 32.5,
32,002, I believe.
35.2, or 32.5, or 32,
Well, it's,
32 something.
yeah,
So we can avoid a lot of problems there if we go with the assessed valuation.
yeah. And finally, some good news relative to the Conservation Commission. When Craig Wilbur, he's fairly new actually on the committee, and they voted him to be chair and he accepted it.
Yes.
So now Conservation has a new chairman, and that's good because that was a point in time, period of time where there was no one actually taking the leadership and being the chair.
I'm actually having
So
a meeting
that's
with
good.
Thursday.
So that's all I have.
Excellent.
Any questions for Terry?
Questions?
Just one follow-up thing in our meeting with the Pittsfield officials. Naturally, I took the opportunity to express our concerns that the city of Pittsfield is contributing zero to
Oh, yes, yeah,
Our-
talk about that.
rebuilding of Dalton Division Road. Before I had even had a chance to ask, the mayor said, no, we're not giving you any money.
The words were coming out of your mouth when
Yep.
Mayor anyone, anyone, no.
Well, then I said to him, look, the sidewalk is gonna be on the west side. The construction, the $14 million covers the cost of the sidewalk. But a municipality, namely the city of Pittsfield, is responsible for easements, land takings, legal costs, survey, a whole thing. It's a very tiresome, extended operation, you know, those little easements and stuff. And they said, well, we'll pay for that. Small victory we came away with.
Basically, we wouldn't legally be able to.
No, because we can't spend our money in Pittsfield.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not our property.
Exactly.
And their lawyer agreed.
It's
Their
not our
lawyer
town
agreed.
taking. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes
Good
sense.
job, good job. Okay, future agenda items, any? Okay, items not anticipated 48 hours before the meeting, any? Okay, remarks of the select board, I just have one. I just want to remind everybody again, August 11th, Lee Davis, Saturday, Friday, 4 to 6, at the stationery factory. The name of it is Join the Community Conversation. So she wants, you know, she's up there, she wants to know what we're thinking, what's going on in Dalton, how can she... Anyone else?
August 11th is a Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a Friday. Oh, I have the wrong
The
date.
18th is when we meet
Wait a minute.
in August, isn't it? Our next meeting.
Hang on,
15th through the 8th.
let me get my calendar.
She's in town on the 11th.
Monday. August 11th.
Yeah, it'd be the 11th.
It's August 11th, it's a Monday.
Okay, Monday the 11th.
Monday the 11th, I'm sorry, it's not a Friday. It's the 11th, it's already in my calendar. Okay. Brings us to an announcement. The Dalton Cemetery trustees will hold 2 informational sessions regarding the green burials at Ash Lot Cemetery. The sessions will not only be able to explain green burials and answer questions, but to receive suggestions from residents. Both sessions will be at the Dalton Senior Center, 40 Field Street. The first session will be Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, 1:30 to 2:30. The second session will be Thursday, September 18th, 2025, 6:30 to 7:30. The Town Manager Act, H4210, has been scheduled for a hearing at the Joint Committee on Municipalities and Regional Government on July 22nd. There's an opportunity to testify in person, virtually, or via written testimony. More information on the hearing can be found at the Town of Dalton's website, including instructions on how to register to testify. The town is seeking volunteers, including it for its cultural council, responsible for reviewing arts and cultural grant proposals and improving projects. For other volunteer opportunities, please visit the town's website. The town of Dalton currently has the following opportunity employment: town manager, DPW motor equipment operator, and COA van driver. For more information, please visit the town website or contact the town manager's office. The town official Dalton meeting postings, agendas, and minutes can be viewed at mytowngovernment.org/01226. The next meeting of the Dalton Selectboard is scheduled to take place Monday, August 18th, 2025, at the Callahan Room at the Town Hall, with an option for remote participation. With that, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.